Okay, hey Capricorn, my name is Chris, and this is your beautiful reading for fall and winter 2026, the second half of 2026. And I already started, and then I realized I didn't plug in the microphone and the sound quality is super bad if I don't do that. But it's already kind of on the table, but half of the Celtic cross is on the table. But I'm not going to start afresh because this makes a lot of sense. So I just update you onto how it started. It started with the Two of Cups, making peace with antagonistic tendencies, either within yourself and actually in the outside world as well. So there are aspects that you just cannot freaking change in the outside world, period. You can't change people. That's just a big fat exclamation mark behind that. Some people, go their merry way and it's not your way and you just have to accept that. And when it comes to, there's the crossing energy of the Celtic cross, that's the center. Crossing energy is the Wheel of freaking Fortune, right? So that peace aspect, that making peace with the outside world, with other people, allow them to be what they are. You cannot change them. Radical acceptance. And then moving on from that in joy, in happiness, in healing. That is the destiny that is waiting for all of us, and especially for you, Capricorn. The foundation is the Ten of Swords, which is pretty dark, right? It looks pretty grim, right? But this is, hear me out on this. This is you in Pluto, or Pluto in you. Pluto in Capricorn, right? Since 2008, we're going with the freaking head against the freaking wall, actually through the freaking wall, ideally, and, doubling down on your efforts, being really, really, really hard on yourself, right? Sharpening your sword again and again, but you know what happens when you sharpen your sword too much? You're kind of destroying it, right? You're grinding it away, or how do you say that? You're hurting the substance of your sword if you sharpen it too much. So that could be perfectionism. That could be you not being a friend to yourself. You not allowing yourself to have a little fun. And the Page of Cups is the energy where you are handed a cup with a fish that is lurking out, and you already took that cup, and that cup represents something that is totally connected to self-love, to self-respect, to being yourself a friend, in the sense that you do what you love to do. You don't need to be grandiose about it. You don't need to have something to show for it. You just do something because you freaking love it, right? Because you like to do it and you get something out of it in the moment that you're doing it. Could be crocheting, could be doing fitness, yoga, sport, whatever. On this channel, I'm not recommending yoga because that's a different path. It is a path, right? And you can totally fine if you follow that path. But this is kind of a Buddhist empathic channel. So I recommend meditation and breathwork, for example. So the, more the alchemistic inner path, not so much the external path, but both of these paths are valid and doable. So you have to choose who you truly are, what you want, what is your path, and then be freaking self-compassionate about it. Love yourself, respect yourself, have healthy boundaries, and be yourself a friend, because that guy, that's the foundation. That is the old version Pluto in Capricorn, right? Now we're Pluto in, guess what? Aquarius. That's the crown. It's the new developmental cycle for you, especially for you, Capricorn. You already took that cup, right? You already know what you like to do, what brings you joy and happiness while you're doing it. And now it's the time to go a little further with it, to get, not just be the cup, the Page of Cups, but be the freaking Knight of Cups and really go for it. And what comes next is the Ten of Pentacles. You're making something out of it. So you're turning this Ten of Swords, overthinking, perfectionism, right? Being super hard on yourself, you know, being super stubborn, totally forgetting the joy and lightheartedness of life. And you have to make peace with that aspect in yourself that has this tendency, right? And it's not bad to have a sharpened sword ready if you need it, right? So you're not throwing away all of these swords, right? You're just, you know, removing them from your freaking body, right? And get on that horse with your freaking cup, right? To get that Ten of Pentacles stuff. And the Ten of Pentacles could be wealth, abundance, and prosperity, sure, but you know what? The Ten of Pentacles is the world that you create for yourself, in which you just you unfold yourself in your own creation. That's the highest expression of your inner light, of your inner talent, of your inner potential. And you're radiating that frequency, and everything around you will just align with that, and you will create something that is way more beautiful and bigger. You're living in that. Other people might be living in that, right? It's almost better than wealth, abundance, and prosperity, but it is the Ten of Pentacles nonetheless, right? So you get something out of it, and you appear here as that's actually the magician in his own creation. You could also say that the magician approach, I think you don't have any problem with that, right? And you can go, you have to make a decision which path you're choosing. Externalization, internalization, magician, high priestess, respectively magician and alchemist. Be a little more alchemistic, and being a little more alchemistic means to befriend that aspect of yourself that is the least developed aspect. So if you choose, for example, the path of the magician, which is willpower, which is force, which is fire, which is which is kind of your thing, Capricorn, right? There's a stubbornness to it. There is we fucking do that like I, want to and planned it, right? That's kind of a little bossy, but, very assertive and very powerful and very willpower stuff, right? So if you are more on the fiery side, then you have to make peace with that water aspect of yourself. And you are a little more on the fiery side, Capricorn, so you have to make peace with that gentler side, self-care, Philautia, love yourself thing of your side. Do what brings you joy. And if you're more on the willpower, fire, magician side, be a little more alchemistic. Be a little more in your water element. Hello, Pluto is now in Aquarius and you're Capricorn. And before that, Pluto was in Capricorn. So it's really important that you follow that advice. And if you be a little more playful, if you be a little more joyful, that's the past energy here where you're coming from, meditation, breathwork, that's what I always recommend. Make yourself a friend, be in contact with your subconsciousness, that's subconscious frequency, your thoughts, right? Super important. You're not throwing away all of these thoughts, but the one-sidedness, the exclusivity, the negation of everything else for the thoughts, that is the problem. So it needs to be a little more balanced, and you have to make peace with that. It's not either or, like black or white. It's more like you're still choosing a side, right? And Capricorn, you probably are more on the willful, fiery side of that, right? Think about the yin-yang symbol, right? The yin-yang symbol, you can still be one side of the yin-yang symbol, but they're not so clear-cut apart from each other. They're kind of moving into each other, and they have the aspect of the other within themselves. There's a little dark spot on the white side of the yin-yang symbol, and there's a white spot or light spot on the darker side of the yin-yang symbol. So it's not just black or white. you can still be one side, but you acknowledge the other aspect within yourself. And that is playfulness, that is connecting to your subconsciousness. Don't be so freaking bossy all the freaking time, right? And go a little with the flow. Say, I don't know, more often, for example, right? And then just sit there and listen, breath work, 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out, 7 seconds in, 14 seconds out, whatever you can do comfortably, but you should really push out your breath at the end of it. That is releasing negativity. If you're in a complete zen state, which you Capricorn, I'm not sure, you can do one-on-one. So, I don't know, 10 seconds in, 10 seconds in, 10 seconds out, or 20 seconds in, whatever you can do. Usually 15-15 is the sweet spot, right? Or 10-10, whatever you can do. But if you have negative energy, frustration, anger, things like that, negative breathing is the way to go to release that negativity. 10 minutes, 5 minutes every day, but make it every day. And then you combine that with meditation, and that's how you connect your thinking mind, thoughts, energy to the water aspect, which is very important here, because you want to have some fun in life. You don't want to, it's not about checking boxes all the time and being perfectionistic. That approach, Pluto in Capricorn since 2008, is completely over. And if you accept that, if you accept the other side within yourself, your shadow aspect, basically, and make peace with that. It's easier to make peace with all the shady people in the world. You're not going to change them, but you have to just radically accept that they are there. They are narcissistic, antagonistic, toxic people. You can't change them all. You can't fight them all, Capricorn. That approach, over. And it's about time, it's destiny calling. Make peace with that, integrate that into your life and go with it, and bam, you get the 10 of Pentacles. So enough said about that. We go on. There's the Queen of Swords. Swords energy is not bad, right? You got the Two of Swords, which is just a reminder to, keep in touch with your subconscious, emotional, intuitive body frequency. And you're not throwing away your swords, right? There's no contradiction in that. It's not either or, it's both. Actually, it's both on one side, but both on one side. Yin-yang symbol. I'm going to show you that somewhere in the video. King of Wands, fire energy, right? Be in control of your fire, of your passion. Don't suffer for your passion. It's time to be joyful and explore beautiful stuff with that fire energy, with that force, with that willpower of yours, Capricorn. Waking up to that. And one more, it's going to be fast, right? So everything in your favor. There is the Knight of Swords at the bottom of the deck. I would say be a little more zen about it, right? The Knight of Swords is storming into this and saying, okay, let's do that. We got a plan. We integrate our shadow. I've been too cerebral. Let's go and explore our intuitive side. And what is my cup? What do I love to do? Let's just do that, right? Be a little more zen about it, right? Don't rush into it, one step at a time. It's joy while you're doing it. That's the thing, what this is all about, right? You're not just checking another box or something like that. Waking up to that, that's you're getting there, totally fine. One step at a freaking time. Yeah. And in that moment, you're awakening to the Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups, Queen of Swords is here. There's a transformation going on, and it frees yourself from that one-sided approach of being too stubborn, of being too focused on your goal, so much so that you forget to smell the flowers, basically, right? And now it's time to smell the freaking flowers. And there's an aspect of yourself who is probably so used to that running and perfectionism thing, that it might be sometimes even a little, really, should I really do that, right? Counterintuitive to you. Balance is restored to the Ten of Pentacles, so you get something out of it and you totally deserve this. You got the Queen of Cups, the King of Wands 2 times, this time clarifying. Queen of Swords. So Wands energy, your intellect. Yeah, there's the Hierophant clarifying the King of Wands. Your fire aspect, your passion, and your intellect, your willpower, I would say, right? Your strategy, your clarity. That needs to come together. And then, for freaking sake, wake up to the present moment, to your life. There's joy and happiness. Remember joy. 6 of Cups is remembering joy. There's the Ace of Swords here. We got nothing against swords here, right? New idea, a new consciousness, I would say, is manifesting with the Ten of Pentacles. So in the most beautiful way, you're waking up to that. And there's so much royalty here. 2 times the King of Wands, then you got the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Swords. What else we got? Yeah, and the Knight of Cups. Wherever your fear is, there's your task. That's what Carl Jung said. I'm not sure I 100% always agree with that. But what you overlook when you're too busy executing your plan, you should give that more attention. That is how you feel, Capricorn. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body. And that's Krishna, actually. So treat that body with respect, but also, just be yourself a friend, for F's sake. The universe is conscious. It all is energy, and energy is transformed to frequency. And now it's time to, I say this again, the universe is conscious, it is all energy, and energy is transformed to frequency. You need a balanced approach. One-sidedness is always destructive. In its extreme, one-sidedness is always destructive. If it's all about the swords, if it's all about willpower, if it's all about fire, if it's all about water and joy and, turning into hedonism, that becomes destructive. So whatever element, whatever aspect of yourself you take, if it's all about money, if it's all about material things, you will, in that one-sided, it's not about the material aspect. It's not, just as it is not about your emotions, or nothing of that in itself is destructive. But in its extreme, in its one-sided form, it becomes dysfunctional and destructive. And there is underlying that destructiveness of overemphasizing your intellect and strategizing and checking boxes and sharpening your blade, so much so that you kind of almost, destroy it in the process. So there needs to be a more gentler, softer approach. Fire needs to be balanced with water. Swords needs to be balanced with earth, right? So you got the air element and you got the earth element. These are just as much polar opposites as fire and water, right? So, and your Ten of Swords is turning into the Ten of Pentacles. Beautiful. I'm doing one Blue Angel Oracle deck card for you. Truth. Yes, that's number 9. Yeah, those who speak the truth are not always the most popular, but mindfulness. This card shows up for you today to help you break a pattern that no longer serves a positive purpose in your life. You're not a prisoner of the past, but a free and beautiful soul, full of timeless wisdom, great compassion, and great creative power. Trust your innate and transformative healing power and embrace a fresh way of being. To release yourself from unhelpful patterns, observe your thoughts and fears and become aware of your inner environment. Meditation, breathwork, totally. Each time you have a negative or fearful thought, imagine it dissolving into light and disappearing. Can be a practice, yeah, absolutely. But try not to force you into it. You feel what you feel. Do never negate your feelings. If you feel freaking angry, then you're feeling freaking angry. But you can make a conscious, mindful decision not to stay there. But you allow, first of all, you accept what is and do not punish you or negate your own feelings. That is very toxic. You sit with it, and then you recognize, oh, I'm pretty angry or whatever. And then you make a conscious decision to raise your frequency. Where's that quote? The universe is conscious. It is all energy, and energy is transformed to frequency. You make a conscious decision. Oh, I'm angry. You make a conscious decision to raise your frequency, transform it into something else. Usually, when you're in your head, get out into nature. Swords to Pentacles, right? Where have we been? Each time you're in negative thought, through gentle awareness, patience, and practice, even the most stubborn patterns will eventually fade away. Greater clarity, balance, and a sense of purpose will take their place. You can choose to create more nurturing patterns. Trust, it is also a choice. To trust is also a choice. And you have grown in so many ways in recent years, and a bright future awaits you. Know that you are free, loved, and protected. A secondary message of this card is to be true to yourself by acknowledging how you feel and working in a way that feels right to you always. That's pretty sweet, right? That's the freaking truth. Blue Angel Oracle deck. I like that. And you show up here very strong with your thoughts energy. So, you know, when you speak your truth, try to speak it with love. There are truths that, you know, are harder to speak with love than other truths. But the more anger, frustration, or even hatred, or, you know, disgust and all these lower frequencies you bring into the speaking of your truths, the more you are inviting frequencies in the external that are resonating with these lower frequencies of anger and stuff like that, right? So be mindful of that. Speak your truth, even if your voice is shaking. Say what you need to say, but don't force anybody to understand. You cannot force people to understand stuff. You just offer something. And those, you know, it's important that you do what you love and you never lose that love for what it is that you're doing. Because if you love what it is that you're doing, that beauty and that inspiration flows naturally because you're connected to that frequency of love and joy in what it is that you're doing. If you, on the other hand, make it too much about a certain outcome, on expectation, you're limiting yourself and you're lowering your frequency, and everything becomes denser and more rigid. And whenever you fall into that, go out into nature, do some sport, do some fitness. If you like yoga, then do yoga, but I would recommend meditation and breathwork. That's all I got now, Abadaya, my friend. Have a great second half of 2026. Check out the yearly reading as well. If you want the full picture, you can check out the sun, moon, and rising sign of your birth chart. And that's all I got. Now, Abadaya, hope to see you soon. Ciao.